The only acts of violence against people that I saw were actually police.
He is a 72-year-old male Asian.
And we're going to transition, but we're not removing something until we have something better. We won't do that.
Happy birthday, dear Velvet.
Owned by a trans woman.
We have a lot to get to. Joe Biden had more documents found when the FBI searched his house. Joe Manchin laid the smackdown on the World Economic Forum. Also, Al Gore showed that he is a crazy person. A lot to catch up to over the weekend. Atlanta went ablaze with Antifa riots all throughout the city. There was a shooting in California. So much. All that coming up in this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go.
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Monday, January 23rd, the year of our Lord 2023. It's been a long week. The week before last week, I promised everybody, we're going to go live from Davos. And then I was at the World Economic Forum in Davos, not there, but reporting on the ground, talking to people outside, doing all that sort of stuff. And I thought the plan was to be on this show every day, but just extra circumstances that just didn't allow it to happen. So sorry about that, but we are here and I've got a lot to talk about and a lot to catch up on the week. So we'll just get right into it. The Atlanta area is suffering from mostly peaceful protests. We might have a better, should I say this? A better bad clip from CNN. Do you remember about 2 years ago now, during the Kyle Rittenhouse, was it the Kyle Rittenhouse? No, it was the George Floyd riots. And then Kyle Rittenhouse, the riots over him were after that. There was a CNN Chiron that was the little thing below the ticker on the guy on the screen. It said, mostly peaceful protests here in wherever. If you remember where that was specifically, let me know in the comment section. I would love to hear it. But it said mostly peaceful. And then behind this camera guy was literally a building on fire in a downtown metro area. Well, we may have topped that with this CNN clip. So just to overview it here, the city of Atlanta is building a new police training facility, and Antifa doesn't like it because they don't like anything and they are bad at advocating their opinions. So they decide to break stuff instead, which is a great way to get people on your side. But then Antifa rioted throughout Atlanta last night. We're going to play some video clips here. And then I think the number one clip of CNN saying this is mostly peaceful protests is a reporter coming up after this. Anyways, check this out. If you haven't already, would appreciate you clicking the little like button and the little share button. This is probably going to run a little bit long today because we got a lot to talk to. I got a lot to catch up with you on over the last week. But anyways, the little like button and the little share button would really appreciate you doing so. And let us know in the comment section what you think about these Atlanta riots and how they should be handled by the police. Check it out. This is just some of the footage we saw from Atlanta yesterday.
Hey, can you guys hear us? State trooper was injured in a shooting, and if you're taking a look at video now, I can hear it in my ear. That is just some of the moments that you could see that protesters were throwing bricks at what I believe to be the Atlanta Police Foundation. Oh, hey, turn around. Can we go back? Someone actually, it looks like one of the Atlanta police.
I do think that.
Oh, okay. Here it is. Here is the clip of CNN that I think may top the mostly peaceful protest. Anyways,
you keep using these words, violent, and it gives the impression. I mean, the only violence or the only acts of violence against people that I saw were actually police tackling protesters.
So after we watched that entire clip of people in black masks and black attire throwing bricks through, I believe that was the Deloitte building. Now, I don't think that was the actual police training facility that they were protesting, but I believe they were throwing bricks through the building. After we saw clips like this of people throwing buildings through stuff, That guy says, well, the only violence that I saw was police violence, and that is something we need to... Hilarious, in my opinion. Absolutely hilarious. Anyways, that might be the next CNN topper of mostly peaceful protests. Daniel asked, what are they rioting for? I think a bunch of reasons. I think they just like to riot. There are some people that say that George Soros is funding them and maybe they're being paid to riot, but we don't know that for sure. But I think the big thing was there's a new police training facility in the city of Atlanta, and I believe that's why they're protesting, along with some other mishandling of some situation. I don't know. Who knows? Chad says the police should do more than tackle them. I'm not sure what that means or what more that would be, but okay. Let's see. So there's that. That's going wild. Let me see. I want to get to. Let's get to this. This is another breaking-ish story. So Friday afternoon my time, actually it was about 12 hours, from 9:30 in the morning to about 10:30 at night, the FBI was not raiding but searching the Biden home in Delaware. I believe Wilmington specifically. Wow, that was a pretty jarring transition, wasn't it? We went from Antifa rioting in Atlanta to the feds searching Joe Biden in Delaware. But nevertheless, so many documents. This story was this is like a week and a half old, 2 weeks old now, where Joe Biden turned in some missing documents that were in his pen office at the Biden Center of Economic whatever. And his office there had some classified documents, and everyone's kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then there was more documents found at another one of his offices, and people were like, okay, this is getting a little bit ridiculous. And now a third place, and I believe a fourth batch of documents in total have been found when the feds searched his home, I believe, again, in Wilmington, Delaware. But the best way to explain that, I think, is, well, you know what? Here's this. This is from Fox. The Justice Department seized an additional, why can't I scroll here? An additional classified records from, seized additional classified records from President Biden's Wilmington, Delaware home after the FBI searched on Friday, Fox News has learned. On January 20th, the FBI executed a planned consensual search of the president's residence in Wilmington, Delaware, says an assistant to the U.S. Attorney and the U.S. Attorney Northern District of Illinois. Somebody said to Fox News on Saturday. That guy said the DOJ was investigating into Biden's improper retention of classified records ahead of the appointment of the special counsel, Robert Hur. Fox News learned last year. Basically, they found more documents, but I thought this was hilarious. This is the compilation put out by Maze, I believe, and we'll play it for you because I think this is funny, just kind of the on top of another snowballing effect, including some of the Joe Biden 60 Minutes clips where he says it's totally irresponsible. Just a couple months ago when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, which is former President Donald Trump's house. Check this out, and hopefully you will laugh with me. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already, would appreciate you clicking the little like button and the little share button. Really, really does help us out. Thanks for doing so. Check it out.
CBS News has learned the Department of Justice is reviewing classified Obama-Biden records found at a private office once used by Joe Biden after he was vice president.
How that could possibly happen.
Aides to President Biden have now found a second batch of classified documents at a new location.
How anyone could be that irresponsible.
Third batch of documents marked classified from the Obama administration, which was found in President Biden's Wilmington home.
What data was in there that may compromise sources and methods? By that, I mean names of people who helped, or et cetera.
Breaking news to pass along here. More classified material has been found during a search of President Joe Biden's home in Greenville, Delaware. An additional 6 items marked as classified were found.
And it's just totally irresponsible.
I don't know if you guys find that as funny as I do. Suzanne says, how could anybody be that irresponsible? How could this possibly happen? Echoing the sentiments of the the current president about the former president's home being raided. How could this possibly happen? And then it happened to him multiple times. Now, I guess the bad thing in all of this is I am zero surprised. If you're surprised, I would love to hear it in the comment section that you are shocked about the revelation that Joe Biden was also mishandling documents. And maybe it is that the Trump story is a nothing burger and the Biden story is nothing burger, and we should reform how we classify documents. Maybe that's it. If I'm being fair, there is a possibility that we just classify everything. Maybe the office staff is ordering lunch and they classified the menu from the Chinese place down the street. I don't know. But I don't know. The bottom line here is, hey, if you're going to go hard on the whole Trump thing, you probably have to go hard on this. And I know there's a lot of things that aren't similar, but at the same time, it's like 80% the exact same thing. So, do with that what you will. Let's stick on Joe Biden because I want to get to a lot of this World Economic Forum stuff because I thought that was fascinating. Oh, and we'll also talk about the Lunar New Year shooting in Monterey Park. Gavin Newsom got a fantastic photo op, so good for him and his campaign for doing that in spite of a horrible, horrible, horrible tragedy. Gavin Newsom decided to fly down to Southern California so that he can get his photo on the streets of around the area where it happened. We'll talk about it in a quick second. But last week when we were, I was in Davos last week. Again, I kind of explained this at the beginning at the World Economic Forum, kind of heckling the elites and putting a thorn in their side, or at least I hope I was. While that was happening, Joe Biden had a very, very bad day when he was talking about some police stuff and then also singing happy birthday to Martin Luther King's son-in-law, I think. I'm not entirely sure who it was that he was singing happy birthday to, and neither does he. But this is a little bit old, couple days old, but I thought it was too funny to not go around and talk about it again. This is not that. This is him talking about the police, and then we'll get to the happy birthday demise of the president. Check this out.
And ban the number of bullets that go in a magazine. There's no need for any of that. I love my right-wing friends who talk about the tree of liberty is water with the blood of patriots. If you need to work about taking on the federal government, you need some F-15s. You don't need an AR-15. I'm serious. Think about it.
All right, so that's one of the arguments that I think are kind of funny when people are talking about, guns. The Second Amendment is in case the government gets tyrannical and you need to fight the government. But now the government is so big and powerful and the military is not overtakeable by a civilian force that we don't need the Second Amendment. Yeah, that's a bad argument because defeating the government is not the point. There's another thing called the PR battle. And if the government gets over tyrannical and citizens are forced to fight the government, the objective is not to necessarily win in a militaristic style. You are also competing in the court of public opinion, and therefore, if you are, again, I'm not saying we're at this point, but if the citizens believe they're at the point where they need to fight the government with weapons, it's not that they think they can win. It's that it's going to be such a headache for the government to crush that uprising, I guess. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. That would be a terrible PR move, and then all of the citizens who are not involved in this particular rebellion would be on the rebel sides because the government has clearly become tyrannical in fighting with military force the civilians. I'm not sure if that entirely made sense. Bottom line is, the idea is not to necessarily win, but to create such a headache for the federal government that they back down. Or at least that's part of the theory. So there's that. There's also Joe Biden talked about police, and I will try not to ramble on too much about this because, again, we have a lot to get to. So check this out. This is, again, from Joe Biden's very bad day a couple days ago.
Policies to emphasize de-escalation. We have to retrain cops as to why should you always shoot with deadly force. The fact is, if you need to use your weapon, you don't have to do that. And look, to call a fresh approach to recruit and how we recruit, how we hire, how we train, how we promote, and how we retain law enforcement.
Yeah, so there's that. Joe Biden talking about law enforcement. Why do they always have to shoot to kill? Well, they don't. In the overwhelming, like 99.99% of police interactions, nobody shoots. But that's not the argument he's making. It says when they do shoot, why do they have to shoot to kill? Well, the only reason that you're shooting is to protect life. That's the entire point of the police force. If you're trying to protect yourself or people around you, that's the only reason you should fire a gun. Now, if that is not the case, then yeah, we should hold police officers accountable if they break that rule or that principle of not using their firearm unless somebody's life is in danger. But at the same time, if it's justified and that's something that they have to do, that's why they do it. And then I feel like what he's trying to do is make the case of like, why don't you just shoot him in the leg? Dude, that is coming from a guy who clearly has not held a handgun before or fired one. Not the easiest thing to do. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but those movies with Keanu Reeves or Bruce Willis or any of those other action movies where they're like sharpshooters with handguns, not a real thing that exists in real life. So the whole idea of why don't you just shoot them in a non-lethal spot? Well, that's not possible. How about the alleged criminal doesn't put themselves in a position where the police need to feel like they have to shoot them? How about that? How about we all do that? But now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Here is the happy birthday. Now, there's several people who've been making a prediction that Joe Biden is going to have one of these moments where the entire country comes together and says, oh no, he cannot be doing the whole president job any longer. And I'm curious to see if you guys think this is it. Again, you've probably heard this already. I'm sure it's been on all of the talk shows. Again, I was in Davos, was not able to do the show when this actually happened. But I had clipped it out and I wanted to play it because this is Joe Biden singing happy birthday to somebody and misremembering that person's name in the middle of the happy birthday song. And I'm wondering, specifically from a political standpoint, is it possible that this is the pinnacle moment where the entire country gets together and says, whoa, not okay, dude? I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. But I want you to listen and think for yourself here. If you haven't already, would really appreciate it if you click the little like button that's down here. There's hundreds more of you watching this than have clicked the little like button. I would really appreciate you doing that. And the little share button really helps us out to continue keeping this ball rolling each and every day. And then without further ado, let us know in the comment section if you think this is the moment that Joe Biden loses confidence with the entirety of the population, not just those on the freedom-loving side. Check this out, and we will discuss on the other side. Happy birthday.
But congratulations today, the honorees, including your wife, who I understand is a birthday today? Well, look, my wife has a rule in her family. When somebody's birthday, you sing happy birthday. You ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Violet. Happy birthday to you. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Violet. Happy birthday to you. Well,
I was just excited.
It's hell turning 30, but you got to.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. Is that the moment that the entire country goes, oh, geez. I'm not entirely sure. Rhonda says sad. Honestly, it is. It is sad. It is sad to watch an elderly man embarrass himself the way Joe Biden has been doing for the last 2 years. But we are, in fact, approaching on the date where if Kamala Harris were to assume the presidency, she could run again 2 more times. A lot of people, especially when Joe Biden first decided to run for president, were saying, well, he's going to, not first decided, when he first won, people were like, he's going to serve 2 years and then 2 years and a day, and then Kamala Harris is going to take over and then run 2 times. Well, we can discuss that on. I think that would be bad, not only for the country, but also just the whole idea of the first woman president. I feel indifferent, but at the same time, I would feel sad if that's how it happened. There are women out there in this country, in political office now, in the public eye, that are more than capable of being the president of the United States. They are smart, they are intelligent, and they will win elections. There will be a female president of the United States someday, and they will, I hope, deserve it. In the case of Joe Biden resigning because he's old and demented and Kamala Harris taking over, that would be a sad way to see the first female president, regardless of the politics. It would just be a sad way to do it. And then on top of that, especially her. So there's that. Shoot, where do we want to go from here? Okay, let's save that. The whole Miss Universe thing happened later. So, okay. I want to talk about this World Economic Forum stuff, but I also want to make sure it's given full shrift. Yeah, you know what? We'll do it now. We'll do it now. Oh, you know what? No, actually, maybe we'll do it tomorrow because I do want to get to this. All right, so there was a shooting yesterday in... Okay, so first of all, I apologize for jumping all over the place. This has been it's been a whirlwind of a week. I know I've mentioned it a couple times. I was in Switzerland all of last week and then hopped on a plane this weekend and came back here, and my whole brain is kerfuffled because I missed a bunch of stuff, but also a bunch of stuff happened over the weekend that I wanted to get to, but also I wanted to talk about a bunch of stuff that happened last week because we didn't do the show because the time change and all of the things. That being said, this happened over the weekend, and it was awful and terrible. 10 people were shot in a Lunar New Year celebration in Monterey Park, California. Horrible situation. They identified the guy who did it. He is now dead of a self-inflicted wound to the head in a van. Horrible situation. You never want to see this sort of stuff happen. In no way, shape, or form, and I don't even know why I have to give this disclaimer, in no way, shape, or form am I in support or trying to make light of this situation at all, with these 10 people losing their lives and 10 people injured. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But one of the interesting things to notice, and I'm sure you all are noticing this too, is the reactionary politics that get thrown into tragedy. Like I said, over and over and over again, this is a terrible situation. And not even minutes after this news hit the airwaves, you've got people into their camps on whether or not there should be more gun control. Because that's the problem that we have to deal with. We're not dealing with a societal, cultural collapse of people respecting each other and having disagreements, but still being able to be neighborly. That's not the problem. It's the tool that people are using or can use to do terrible things. I think the last during the Uvalde shooting, that sucked a lot. And I also came on and talked about the fact that we need to address the bigger issue and stop going immediately to this gun issue. But nevertheless, politics and politicians have gone into their camps, either saying it's guns or it's not guns and this and that. None other than California Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, a lot of people pointed out the fact that California has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, which they do. Not to get too... I have personal experience with how freaking strict and difficult and long the California government takes to do certain things. That's all I'll say about that, but it's very, very strict. It's very difficult to do things legally, and that's part of the problem with gun control. Not to get into my own arguments here, but I will say that is a massive problem. But Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, had some thoughts in the morning about the shooting, and then later on in the evening was seen walking around Monterey Park, as you see in this photo. Let me play this clip. This is from the Los Angeles County Sheriff talking about the event or the mass shooting, and then we'll get to commentary on Gavin's stupid pictures. Check it out.
He is a 72-year-old male Asian. I can confirm that there are no outstanding suspects from the mass shooting incident that occurred in the city of Monterey Park.
Okay, wow, that was a lot shorter than I thought. But yeah, the dude was a 72-year-old Asian guy. I don't know if he was involved with the group of people. It would seem like it makes sense that he was involved with people, but I guess more facts will come out as they come out. But I want you to look at this photo. These are photos that Gavin Newsom, governor of California, posted on his Instagram page and his Twitter. And, you know, some of this commentary, this little chyron that I've got here is a little bit snarky, but Gavin gets his photo up. After a terrible tragedy, Gavin sees it fit to use taxpayer money to hop on the governor's private plane from Sacramento, I'm assuming, down to Monterey Park, California, fly probably into LAX, and then drive, not a short trip at all, to do essentially nothing, to get a photo op for political purposes. Here he can be seen walking down a street, it looks like, but probably in Monterey Park, but I don't know why there's garbage on the street. I don't think that had anything to do with the shooting, especially 24 hours after it happened. Like, I don't quite understand that. And then here's him in a store talking to some some guy who looks Asian. I don't know what the goal here is, Gavin. And while I think that it is terrible what happened in Monterey Park, this doesn't look like it's even attempting to help anything other than make sure you get your photo up, dude. I don't know. Maybe that's just the era of politics that we're in now. Ryan says, where is it? I hearted this comment because it's very appropriate. It says, never let a good tragedy go to waste. Seems to be the case. Again, and while I'm not diminishing at all the tragedy that happened to those 10 people in Monterey Park in that shooting, it seems like Gavin is. So, I got more angry about that than I thought I would. I feel like it's just politics as usual, but this whole, you gotta understand too. I think this is the thing that irritates me the most. You have to understand the lengths that have to be taken for these types of pictures to be snapped. The governor doesn't travel around without big time security. He has a plane that the California taxpayers pay for, and from Sacramento, so you got to go from the Capitol, where the governor's mansion is, to, I believe, SMF, which is the Sacramento airport, which is like, 30 minutes outside of the Capitol area in Sacramento. So you got to have a little motorcade security go there. You got to get on the plane. You got to fly to LAX. Then you got to have motorcade security drive you all the way to Monterey Park. And then you got to sit there and have a photographer take pictures of him walking down a street that for some reason has trash on it. I don't know if that trash is at all related to anything. And then say this. This is what he said in the Instagram post, by the way. I should have read this earlier. He said, spent time in Monterey Park today meeting with leaders and those impacted by the terrible tragedy. I agree with him that it is a terrible tragedy. The strength of this community is incredible, and I hope it is. He also goes on to say, no other country in the world is terrorized by this constant stream of gun violence. We need real gun reform at a national level. F you, dude. Oh, man. All right. I got to stop before I get too upset. This is I get it if you have disagreeing political opinions, but the extent that Gavin and a lot of people are willing to go to prove a political point, effectively solving effing nothing, is astonishing. All right. That'll do it for us. Wow. I got a little more upset and heated about that than I thought I would. Freaking Gavin and this stupid ass photo op. We'll see you tomorrow. Wow. Okay. All right. Recap. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Thanks for tuning in today. If you haven't already, would appreciate you clicking the little like button and the little share button that's down in this corner, and letting your friends know to I don't know, it's just a fun show to watch each and every morning on Facebook. We're also going to start streaming on Rumble, I believe, later on this week. We're on YouTube, Twitter, all of those platforms. So there's a bunch of people watching across all of the different platforms. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media accounts. Just type in JOBOB. Instagram is probably the best one. The Chiron on Facebook is still wrong. Hilarious, ha ha ha. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll talk about more of the World Economic Forum. Joe Manchin actually said some stuff that I really would appreciate. He's a Democrat from West Virginia. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. And yeah. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.